Hi, greetings, welcome to the channel. Now today I have a story for you, and it is a folk tale but with a twist, for today's folk tale has the main character of Dave the cat. Yes, that magical, mythical Viking cat created by one and only Egil Thorson. So cheer up Egil, and we wish him well. Oh yes. Now what you're going to get out of this video, you're going to be entertained for 10 minutes, you're going to get a good story, and you're going to see a Viking in mail, and it's thundering, so you never know, I may get struck by lightning if the god Thor does not like me today. So once upon a time, in those good old days, medieval times of the Anglo-Saxons and the Vikings, there lived a special cat. He was indeed magical, some say even supernatural. He was a supernatural super cat. Oh yes. And Dave, well, he's on his travels, and he's going to a place in Nottinghamshire to go and visit some friends in a place called Gotham. Oh yes, a lovely village. And he's been walking for a few days, for he's come from the north down south. And it got to the morning when he's around 11 o'clock. The sun was not quite up in the middle of the sky, for he knew what time it was, and in the distance he saw Gotham. And he walked on down, he passed these two Vikings. One was a man with a moustache, and the other had no hair on his chin, but that is another thing, as they was going the opposite way, and he said hello, hello, as they walked over a bridge. And one of them by accident fell over and landed in the water, and Dave thought, whoa, what an unusual thing, but it was a warm day and the Viking was okay. And so he carried on, not thinking about this strange occurrence that had just happened. And he came to a hill which he was walking down, and he came very close to the village. He thought, oh, not long now, a few more minutes and I'll be there. And he got to the village, and the first thing he saw was all the village women had these horse and carts, and they was dragging them along the side of the buildings. He thought, oh, that's a bit strange, what are they doing that for? He was going to ask, but you know, he was being polite, and he thought, no, I won't ask, but you know what they're like, I'll be there for 10 minutes talking about it, and I never get away. And so he went on, and in the centre of this village has a pond and a small market next to it. And he thought, oh, a market, I can go and have a look round, buy me some nice goods. But all the market stalls were empty. All the goods were there on show, but not one trader or one customer, not one person was buying anything. And he thought to himself, well, that's a bit weird. But then he looked into the pond which was next to it, and all the locals were jumping up in the pond and stamping around, and one of them had a sword and was whacking the pond with his sword, and the other, a woodworker with his T-shaped axe, was whacking the pond with this T-shaped axe like this, and another man had a club, and another man was floating on his shield and whacking it with an old jug, and another man was just drunk in it, lying back like that, going, the eels, the eels. And so Dave the cat thought, well, ain't this a little bit weird? I'm sure you agree. And there was a local sitting by the edge of the pond, and he said, hey up mate, hey up youth. A local saying, both of them. He said, what's going on here then? And he said, well, it's the eels. What do you mean eels? Said the cat. Well, they're trying to take over. They want to get in charge of the village, and the eels are getting bigger and bigger, and we can't be having that round here, so we've got to get rid of the eels. Well, we don't want no eels like last year when they took over. So what do you mean they took over? They took over, I tell you now. And Dave thought to himself, well, this man's mad. He thought he'd go to another man, a man with a big moustache and a massive amount of hair on his head. It was a youth. He said, hey youth, what's going on here then? He said, it's the eels. I don't like them. They cursed my grandma, and it wasn't for that and her, the Picts and the Anglo-Saxons and the Vikings would have came. I said, you what? I said, you've heard me. It's the eels. They're in charge of history. Well, at that point, Dave knew that the villagers were completely mad. And so he went on to find his friends in their longhouse at the end of the village. And they was very wise. They lived at the end of the village, or not in the village. A little bit more peaceful on the edge. And so he got there, and he knocked on the old door 3 times. You always knock 3 times, I don't know why. And his old friend He had a big beard and he was called Thorim Bluebeard. An old name. He said, hello there, old Bluebeard, that's what he called him. I don't know why he had a blue beard. He didn't have a blue beard, he just had some blue teeth, but everybody called him Bluebeard. You know, oh, Bluebeard, you know, because of his teeth. And so, what's going on then? Oh, come on in, get some mead. Nice to see you. Dave was only staying for a couple of days. And so, he sat down, he had a little pack, he took that off on his little cat cloak, magical cat cloak, and he sat down and he put his bag down and put his feet up. And the old man shouted for his daughter. He said, come here, go and get some mead for this fine cat. And so she went down to this cellar, and it's very unusual for a house to have a cellar, but this one did. I mean, no doubt the guy who lived in this house was very wise and decided to dig down at one point, or perhaps when he built the longhouse he put a cellar in first. You know, he was a bit higher up on the hill, so it wouldn't get wet with water, so he had that advantage. And his daughter came crying back up. He says, oh, I can't, crying, oh, I can't get the mead, I can't get the mead. So what are you on about? He says, oh, I can't, there's an axe. Well, the old man, stopping Bluebeard, thought, oh, she's going mad. And shouted for his wife. Come here, wife. And his wife came here, nameless of course, they often are these people. And Helga, we call her Helga. And, you know, he said, go and get some mead and drink for this nice cat, or friend of ours. And so she went down the stairs to the cellar, and not thinking much about it, you know, a few minutes went past, and nobody appeared with a drink. Dave the cat was getting thirsty. How rude, I've been there 10 minutes and not one drink being offered yet, or served, in this case. And again his wife walked up the stairs, crying and bawling her eyes out. Oh, the Viking man from Gotham stood up and said, what's all this about? And she said, well, there's an axe down in the cellar and it's evil. An axe? Evil? How can an axe be evil? And so the old man with the blue tooth and the beard, and Dave the cat with his little cloak and chainmail, he had some chainmail on and some nice trousers. It was a very well dressed cat, was Dave. Oh yes. They both went down in the cellar. And there was a massive barrel of beer. But above the beer in the rafters was an axe, sticking in, an old rusty axe. And well, the old man looked up. Oh, I've never seen that before. And Dave said, well, I've never seen that before, but I've never been here before. Dave was laughing, but the others weren't. Perhaps cat humour is something they don't know about. And so the old woman explained, well, what if, you know, Al came down here, or you came down here and the axe fell out and hit you in the head? You know, it could cause chaos. And at this point, Dave got very angry. He said, I've never seen nothing like it. He says, I've never seen nothing like it. He says, you people are the silliest people I've ever met in my life. You know, shaking his fist in a kind of a nice, smiley manner, but not being offensive or aggressive. You lot are cat crazy, you know. He said, I'm not going to accept a drink here and hospitality until I've gone from this place and I found 3 more silly people. And so this is what Dave agreed on. The old man, Bluebeard with the blue teeth, because they're just bad teeth, and the beard, and Dave left off on his journey to find 3 more silly people. Ha! He thought, well, that's it, I'm never going back there again, because I'm never going to find 3 more silly people than those 3. But then Dave set off. And of course, the first thing he came to was the villagers. In the old village again. This time they've been getting all the men with the bows and shooting the water with arrows. Well, Dave looked in, he couldn't even see an eel. He thought, whoa, this is the first lot of silly people, because these people down in that pond are more silly than the other people. So that's one lot found, and I didn't think that would happen. And Dave was a bit disappointed by his findings. And so he carried on. He thought, oh, I'm going to head toward the Araby. I mean, get away from this area. Go more towards the Midlands, Mercia. Oh yes, it's safer inland. And so he was walking along an old straight road. He says, oh, this must have been a road put in by those old Romans I've heard about. People from hundreds of years ago. Yeah, no idea how they built straight roads. I mean, no wonder the empire collapsed. They was too busy on roads rather than the empire. And so he came to a bit, and at the top of this road was a big hill he had to climb. Oh, so why can't they put an ale house down here so you can have a drink before you climb this big hill? And it was a big hill, and Dave was only a little cat. He's only got little cat legs, and he walked on two hind legs because, you know, he was special. And so he started walking up this hill. It was in the afternoon, and the top of it was this old giant oak tree. And there was a man climbing up the tree. Well, Dave was very curious. He waved at this man. "Hello, I'm Dave." And this man was up the tree. He waved at him and suddenly jumped down. He thought, "Oh, that's crazy," as my sword made a nice noise. Ding! And he said, "What are you doing?" He says, well, and then Dave saw his trousers were tied, so they were like hanging from the tree, but open. He said, "Well, I'm trying to get in those trousers, mate." I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, I've got no trousers on, look." And he looked at the man. Indeed, he had a nice tunic, but no trousers. Normally a sign of a peasant. But he could tell this man, you know, he came from some coin. He had money. He had a very nice tunic and an axe and a sword. So "What are you doing, mate?" He said, "Oh, I can't get my trousers on." You know, he was bold. He was a bold man. But I do say bold is beautiful. And so he climbed the tree again, and Dave watched him for a bit. Climbed the tree, jumped out the tree, and tried to land in his trousers so that both legs were getting them. Get them missing, of course. He was a bad shot. And he did this time after time after time. Well, Dave got a bit fed up and said, "What's wrong with you? Have you forgotten how to put trousers on?" And the man said, "That's it. I've forgotten how to put trousers on." He said, "How can that happen?" "Oh, well, I banged my head in a fight, and now I can't remember how my trousers go on, and I tried to put them on my head, didn't work, and I put them on my arms, but that didn't feel right, and I don't know how my legs work." "Lie down and I'll put them on for you," said Dave the cat. And Dave, for the next half an hour, struggled to put these Viking trousers on. They was very baggy and a lot of material, which meant there was wealthy trousers. Oh yes. And Dave said, "Are you sure these aren't the wrong trousers? Because they're a bit tight on you." "Oh, no, I just put on weight with all the beer." And in the end, Dave put on the trousers, and he said, "You are a very silly man. And you're the second most silliest people I met today. And I'm going now, because I do not want to hang about with silly men that put trousers on in trees." And so Dave quickly left. And he carried on down the other side of this hill into a valley. And he thought to himself, "Whoa, there'll be a nice settlement down there. I could get a drink and some cheese and bread." But there was just one long house, and it had a thatched roof. As he walked down this hill into the valley, he saw something on the roof. He thought, what is that? Dave looked, what's that on the roof? And he couldn't make out what it was. Until he got a bit closer, and he realised that it wasn't a thatched roof, it was actually a grass roof, and it was just very dry, and that there was indeed a cow on the roof. And he got to the man who owned the house, and said, he pointed to Dave, said, "What's that up there? What's your cow doing on your roof?" Well, he said, all the grass around here is no good. Apart from the grass on my roof, that's the best grass in the world. So I've put my cow on the roof, and that's where he lives." Well, Dave thought to himself, a cow can't live on a roof. And he could see the roof bending, and the man invited him for a hot drink. "I'm not going in your long house." And just as the man went in, the cow flew through the roof, and with a loud crash bang wallop, and beams went everywhere, and pots were broken, and he landed in the middle of the man's fire. And then the cow kind of had a bum on fire and got up, moving about on fire, until Dave got a bucket of water and managed to put out the flaming cow's arse. Thank God he didn't have flatulence, or they would have blown him both away. And so, you know, Dave realised at that very moment he's just gone and met the third, you know, very stupid person. I said, "You are the third silly man and person I've met today." And on that point, he knew his mission was over, and so he went back to his friends in old Gotham, and he had that made, and he had a nice meal, and he stayed there for about a week until he had to go on another adventure and another story. So for now, I hope you've enjoyed, couldn't say that, I hope you've enjoyed this story I've made up for you on Dave the Cat. Although it's based on a true folktale called The Three Sillies, which is a wonderful story, and I have told it on the channel. So go and have a look and type it in and you'll find it. And if you could really do two things for me on the channel, is number one is to go and share the video, share it on Facebook or any groups you belong to, anybody might like a funny cat story. You know, so many people love cats, and we really should make Dave the Cat famous. You know, that brave Viking cat. And number two, give us a like. And if you got the time to leave a comment, then that's even brilliant as well. Goodbye from me. I'm carrying an Anglo-Saxon TK axe and my Viking sword to end this video. And if you like it, come back again. For we will be back with more stories. Singing the song out.